There are four interrelated concepts at the heart of the beliefs of most people who channel. These terms are entities, planes, states, and stages. John Climo, author of the book Channeling: Investigations on Receiving Information from Paranormal Sources, defines these four terms. An entity is defined as the core identity of any individual living being said to exist, especially refers to a being that exists on a level of reality other than the physical, and that operates as a source in the channeling process. This means that we are all entities. We are what is called embodied entities. When we leave our physical bodies through death, however, we remain entities. But now we're referred to as discarnate entities because our essence is no longer housed by a physical body. By this definition, then, spirits of humans who have died are entities. There are also, however, other types of entities. Some of these are not human. For example, angels or ET entities. Channelers also communicate with other kinds of entities, such as group entities. The source of the Law of One material, channeled in the early 1980s by Carla Rickert, which subsequently resulted in the Law of One series of books, was a collective soul group that identified itself as Ra. This group of beings claimed its density of origin to be density 6, the density where there exists no polarity, where all are one. This is the realm of higher self, the sixth density part of us that stays on the other side of the veil when we incarnate here on Earth. Entities at this level vibrate at an extremely high frequency. The density we inhabit now is third density, but since part of our consciousness remains in sixth density, we can learn to reconnect with it and receive guidance from it. Higher Self knows all about every lifetime we have experienced on Earth, and we can tap into the wisdom if we know how to raise our frequency enough to contact Higher Self. Unfortunately, most people have the path to Higher Self blocked, and so sometimes I will channel their Higher Self for them, and a message will come through via automatic writing. We can all be taught how to access our Higher Self, but first we must learn to disconnect from the craziness of this world and get quiet. The various distractions of everyday life, and especially television, keep our minds so busy that most are unable to get quiet and go deep within, and this is essential if one wants to connect with one's higher self. The soul group Ra spoke to Carla as a deep trance channel. This means that Carla was not conscious during the process. Most channelers, however, act as conscious channels. That is, they are partially aware of what is being said by the sources they communicate with. Channelers have revealed through their work that there are levels, dimensions, spheres, and various planes of reality. The physical earth plane we occupy is only one of these. Occult literature identifies ascending, ever finer levels of reality that channels are able to connect with. Some of the notable authors of this occult literature include Helena P. Blavatsky's Theosophical, Alice A. Bailey's Arcane, Rudolf Steiner's Anthroposophical, and Rosicrucian. These authors point out the existence of an etheric or higher physical subtle energy plane that acts as a template for the organization of physical structures like our bodies. There's also an astral plane, within which emotional reality is located, and this is the realm of the dream state. The mental plane is the reality where all forms of thought are found. The initiation of intentionality takes place on the plane called the causal plane. Some channelers also say there are more spiritual planes even beyond the causal plane. These levels involve will, wisdom, power, and love, and are extremely close to all that is, or the source of all creation. All of these levels interact together, and energy flows from higher to lower planes. Another concept central to the process of channeling is the term states of consciousness. The awake state that we are in most of the time is called the normal waking state of consciousness. There's also the sleep and the dream state. In addition, there is a wide range of other states of consciousness, some of them which are altered states of consciousness. Channeling may occur within or as a result of one of these altered states of consciousness. Climo states that a state of consciousness can be seen as a lens or frame of reference. If the state of consciousness is altered or shifted, what can be experienced within that frame of reference shifts also. For example, during the dream state, we enter into a very different environment and level of reality than we are in when we are in the normal waking state of consciousness. Therefore, it is possible to experience lucid dreaming, for example, whereby we know we are dreaming when we are dreaming. If we take into consideration the fact that there are such varying levels and degrees of consciousness, and we can experience different things during each state, then it follows that there may be as many separate realities as exist states of consciousness. Another concept to be added to all of this is the term stages of consciousness. This is the idea that we progress through different levels of consciousness. The Ra group relayed to Carla Rickert the message that the purpose of life on this planet is evolution of mind, body, and spirit. In other words, Earth is like a school where we will be presented with challenges. These are called catalysts, and they are opportunities to grow. The more we reject these and refuse to learn from them, the more likely we are to reincarnate again and again until we get it right. The object of soul evolution is to return to all that is, Source, or the one infinite creator. Thus, there are different stages of consciousness humans progress through. I might meet a 16-year-old high school student with a consciousness level of the wise old sage, and I might meet a 56-year-old individual with the consciousness of a newbie or a person at an infant level of awareness, someone experiencing their first lifetime here. The physical body and age of the individual has nothing to do with the stage of consciousness that individual is at. In my work with teenagers over the years in a public school classroom, I have met many who are wise old souls, and they inherently know there is something really wrong with the way things are done here. The last term I would like to cover in this video is trance state. What is a trance state and how does the channeler achieve it? This is an altered state of consciousness that can be achieved in various ways. Throughout history, many cultures have taught the skill of entering trance through such modalities as drumming, music, dancing, and even the use of sacred substances. A hypnotist such as myself uses different methods of inducing trance depending on the client. If I have a client who's highly suggestible, it won't take much to get that person into a trance state of altered consciousness. I might use an eye focus technique, a pendulum, a spiral, or just a progressive relaxation. The goal is to get the critical faculty part of the brain, the part that analyzes everything, to step into the background and allow access to the subconscious mind. If I have a particularly analytical type of client, I would likely use a different method, such as a confusion induction. This allows the critical factor of the brain to get so busy it will eventually escape into hypnosis. Of course, the most hypnotizable client is one who is what we call a somnambulist. Without getting too technical here, a hypnotist assesses a client's level of what we call suggestibility. That is, how hypnotizable one is, how easily a person enters trance. A somnambulist is a person who is ready and willing to believe anything and everything and probably goes through most days in a state of hypnosis. Fear, anxiety, and trauma send a person's brain into fight-flight mode, where their critical factor is hijacked and they are rendered unable to think rationally. This makes for hypersuggestibility and the perfect opportunity to mold thinking and behavior. This is the perpetual state of the somnambulist. The somnambulist often needs to be dehypnotized before we can begin to work together. In my many years as a high school teacher, I could spot these individuals very quickly. Whenever they were asked to look at a screen in the front of the room with a video, or if I started using my hypnotist voice while teaching, they would immediately nod off. After a while, the sound of my voice alone would put them in trance mode. The trance state is critical to the process of channeling. When I channel, I do automatic writing. I put myself into a trance state and conduct conscious channeling. This involves first protecting my energy field from entities or energy that is not for my highest good. This means I must keep myself psychically clean, keep my energy field clean of negative energy that could be given off by other people or situations. I must also raise my vibration and frequency in order to meet the vibratory level and frequency of the entity I am channeling. Sometimes this can be quite difficult and exhausting. In the next video, I'm going to read an example of a channeling that I did years ago. I have notebooks and notebooks filled with channelings that I have done so that you can get an idea of what kind of messages actually come through. See you next time.